Hi everyone, this is Cindy at The Rogue, and I am so excited today because we are with Don Fox, who's one of our lighting designers, and we love our lighting designers because they make everything so beautiful, like, say, this moon. And so here's Don.
Hi everybody, my name is Don Fox and I am one of the lighting designers here at the Rogue Theater, and starting this fall I'm actually also the new assistant professor of lighting design at the University of Arizona. For this peek backstage at the Rogue Theater, I have been asked to show you a little bit about the lighting technology that we use in storytelling here at the Rogue. So I thought I would take us on a little bit of a show and tell that is also a journey through time. And we'll start with this little guy right here, who dates back to probably when the Rogue first moved into the historic Y. This is called a Source 4 Junior, and its technical term is that it is an ellipsoidal reflector spotlight. And so we've set up the light here, and if Cindy can pan over to our cyc, we set up a space here on the cyc or cyclorama so that you can see what I'm doing with the light. And the cool thing about the Source 4 Junior is that ours zoom, and so with one light we get the opportunity to make the light really wash out the whole stage space, or we can spot it down, give it a nice sharp edge. We can cut the sides of it into 4 like this so that we can trim off scenery or off curtains, or cut it down to a very, very small piece of light to hit exactly what we want to on stage. The other cool thing about this kind of light is that we can take a little accessory called a gobo. Gobo not only is the name of my cat, but is this little metal slide that shapes the light. And so if you remember from a show called The White Snake, which we did several years ago, we had this image on the front curtain. And Christopher, I think, is breathing heavy because I just put it in backwards. But that allows us to give even greater texture or dimension or form to the light by using a gobo. And that term gobo, I think, comes about because it was a device that goes between the focal point of the light and the lenses. So this is a Source 4 Junior, and this is one of the most basic lights that we have, but it's a workhorse here. We have probably close to 40 of these that we use pretty much on every show. All right, so we're going to move on down the line here, and to help me do that, we have some other technology that you never even see on stage, and that is we actually have wireless control over our light rig when we want it. So all of the lights that we've set up here for this demonstration, none of them are connected with any control cables whatsoever. And here I'm going to take this light out, and I'm going to bring up the next one that we're going to talk about. And I'm doing this with my tablet. And I use my tablet a lot when we're focusing the lights or preparing cues, or when I'm watching a run through to see what cue we're in. Though we try to make things look very, very minimal and streamlined for storytelling, this is actually a very high-tech theater space. So moving down the line here, we had our Source 4 Junior, which was our little guy right here, but the Junior implies that there's a Senior, right? And there is. The Source 4 Senior is this bigger fixture right here. And both with the Junior and the Senior and most of the other conventional lighting that we use at the Rogue, when we want to change the color, we use this color filter right here, formerly known as a gel, and we slide it in the slot there, and you can see that the color of the light changes when we have that gel. With new technology, of course, this is way too old school, way too primitive for us. We want to be able to change that color by touching the control panel, right? And changing the lights that way. So when we did the White Snake several years ago, we used a little bit of money that Joe and Cindy found for us, probably from one of you nice people out there. And we bought 2 of these Source 4 Seniors with an awesome little accessory that is mounted inside the light here called a sea changer. And that name, Sea Changer, actually comes from The Tempest, from Ariel's chorus, I'm told by Peter, our master electrician. So the Sea Changer is actually working by putting in a gradiated flag of cyan, magenta, or yellow into the color path of the light. So here I'm going to add cyan, and I can take cyan out, and we get back to a white light. I can add magenta and yellow. And the awesome thing about cyan, magenta, and yellow as color filters is that as they are the secondary colors, we can mix cyan and yellow and magenta to get any other shades that we want to. So if I want to have red, for instance, I mix yellow and magenta. One thing that we got when we got the sea changers was we got the ability to not only control the color of the light, but we got to be able to control from the console where the light is pointed. And we did that by purchasing 2 of these moving mirrors called an IQ. So the cool thing about this IQ is that it is an accessory, just like the sea changer is, to the Source 4 Senior. And I'm going to go ahead and slide it down in here in the front so you can see where it goes. I'm going to plug it in. It's going to do its little warm-up thing, and you can see that mirror moving around. Using the control panel or my tablet, we can control pan and tilt, which are the side-to-side and up and down movements of the light. And the reason that this is so helpful is because you can imagine at a show like The White Snake, which I'm sure many of you saw, where much of the story was told by a series of narrators from various places on the stage that would step out of the action and tell the story while the actors would illustrate the point of the text of the narrator. If we had to have a different light fixture for every single one of those narrative moments on stage, for The White Snake, I think it would be something like 40 or 50 different spots on stage where the narrator would stand to narrate the story. With the beauty of the IQ and the sea changer, with just one light fixture, we can put the narrator wherever we want to on stage, move the mirror to their location, change the color to match the rest of the scene or to coordinate with the rest of the scene, and we save ourselves a lot of work, not only in hanging the lights and cabling the lights, but we are able to use the rest of our lights for other purposes in the show. So we get a lot of bang for the buck out of a setup like this, an IQ on a Source 4 with a sea changer. Okay, so that brings us to the last piece of show and tell for today, and this is a Mac Aura, and we call it a moving head fixture because the whole head of the light moves, versus our friend back here, the moving mirror. And the moving heads have sort of become the industry standard, and they are either wash fixtures because they emit a broad, evenly diffused kind of a light, or they are edge or profile fixtures, which are the kinds that you've probably seen on rock and roll shows. They look like little cannons. But the moving light is brand spanking new to the Rogue. We used 2 lights like this Aura for the very first time here at the Rogue in a production that you probably saw called Moby Dick. And one of the reasons that moving lights are only now starting to make their way into smaller theaters is because of noise. And when we've just talked about moving lights and using moving lights in the theater in the past, Joe, of course, is the first one to say, "I can't make any noise, I better not hear that light." And so we looked around and looked around to try to find a moving light that would satisfy that need. The cool thing about this light is that it's also an LED, so it's making color by mixing red, green, and blue diodes. This one also has white in there. And the advantage that a moving head has over a scanner, of course, is that I can put this in the middle of a stage, and because the moving head can flip all the way around the way a mirror can't, I can get a lot more coverage in terms of when we do a show in the round or when we do a show in a deep thrust situation like Moby Dick was. Depending on where the actor is, one of these lights could be their backlight and another one could be front light for another person standing further upstage. Another cool thing about this moving head fixture, and I'll direct your attention back up to the cyc, I'm going to brighten this up just a little bit, is that these auras also have a really nice zoom. So by zooming the light fully open, for those of you who saw Moby Dick, that beautiful blue at the end was created by flooding the stage with that gorgeous blue of 2 of these aura fixtures onto Patty Gallagher as she received the dying sailors. There are other things in the world of lighting that are changing, with more ability to pre-program lights, more ability to visualize on your computer before you even get into the theater what the lighting is going to look like. But being able to change color means that we can manipulate mood. Being able to change the lights zoom means that we can direct your focus to a certain space on stage. Being able to change its position means that we can draw your attention very quickly to an actor or a group of actors in one position on the stage. We can do all of this without getting a ladder out, without getting the genie out, without having to climb around on the grid and move things around. Just these few pieces of higher end technology have radically changed the way that we tell a story with light here at the Rogue. So that's it for me. I hope you've enjoyed this little tour of our show and tell of some of our lighting gear. I'm always happy to answer questions. When we start doing shows again, if you want to come down and join us for a hang or a focus, we'd love to have you come and see what we do to help tell the stories at the Rogue Theater. Thanks, you guys. Stay safe and have a great summer. Okay, ready?
I want you to point out that I have been a pain in your ass about noise on the movement.
Oh, that's a great, when we get to the last one. We'll,
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we have to mention that again?
Yes.
That you're a pain in the ass? Oh. Okay, ready?